Hey you guys, I hope you enjoyed your scavenger hunt yesterday. Today we're going to be going over some word problems. Here we have a first one. A class contains 20 students. On Tuesday, 5% of the students were absent. On Wednesday, 20% of the students were absent. How many more students were absent on Wednesday than on Tuesday? With word problems, I like to go ahead and list out what was given. That way I don't feel overwhelmed with all the words. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write what was given to us. So let me get my pen ready. I think I'll go with blue. So we were given that there are 20 students, so total equals 20 students. And then we were told that on Tuesday 5% of the students were absent. So Tuesday 5%. And then on Wednesday we were told that 20% were absent. So then Wednesday it's 20%. And then they're asking us how many more students were absent on Wednesday than on Tuesday. So now we have our total. Total equals 20. Tuesday 5% were absent. Wednesday 20% were absent. Well, let's go ahead and find out what that 5% and 20% are. And so for 5% we do 5% out of 100. And our 100 here is 20, and we're trying to figure out how many students are missing. And so afterwards all we do is just cross multiply, and we end up with 100 equals 100x, and our goal is to get that x by itself, so we just divide by x now. So we end up with 1 equals x. So on Tuesday, one student was missing. Now let's do it for Wednesday. On Wednesday, we had 20%, so 20 out of 100. And here we're trying to figure out how many out of 20 were absent, and again just cross multiply, and then you end up with 400 equals 100x, and then just divide by 100, and you end up with 4 equals x. So on Wednesday 4 students were absent, and what was our question? You always want to make sure you're answering the correct question during a problem. And how many more students were absent on Wednesday than on Tuesday? Well, all you got to do is 4 minus 1. So 3 more students were absent on Wednesday than on Tuesday, and that would be your answer. Now we can go ahead and go to the next question. The snowfall for November was 5 inches more than for December. If the total snowfall for November and December was 35 inches for the 2 months, what was the snowfall for November? Well, we're giving a lot of information. Let's go ahead and write what was given. So here it says the snowfall for November was 5 inches more than December. So let's let D equal December and N equal November. And then we're going to have, for November, they told us 5 more. The word more lets me know that we're adding. And then more than December. That's going to give us our November amount. And then the total is going to be 35. So if we were to add up the snow for November and the snow for December, we would get 35. Now here they tell us that N is equal to 5 plus D, so we can go ahead and substitute that into N, and then we have this. Afterwards we can go ahead and combine our like terms. Then we have 5 plus 2D equals 35. Now we're going to go ahead and solve for D. So you subtract 5 on each side, and then we end up with 30 on the right side. And then finally divide by 2, and so D equals 15. Now, the 15 is only for December. That's how much snow fell. And so afterwards you can plug in the 15 to the first one or to the second one. It doesn't really matter. You should end up with the same answer for both. And so let's try it for the first one. 5 plus 15 equals N. We end up with 20 equals N. And then now let's try the second one. N plus D equals 35. So we know D again. N plus 15 equals 35. And then subtract 15 from each side. So N equals 20. And you see here that we ended up with the same answer for both. So the snowfall for November was 20 inches. And John is measuring plant growth as part of a botany experiment. Last week his plant grew 7 and 3/4 inches, but this week his plant grew 10 and a half inches. By how much did this week's growth surpass last week? So they want to see how much it grew in between. So we're going to have to subtract these two improper fractions. And so if you don't know how to do this, you can just go ahead and switch everything into a proper fraction. And so to do that, it's 10 times 2 plus the 1. So 10 times 2 is 20, 21 over 2. 2 goes into 21 10 times, and then we'll just be left with that 1, and that takes us back to what we had beforehand. And then here, 7 times 4, that's 28, plus a 3, that gives us 31 over 4. And now we can go ahead and see if we can subtract these, but we can't yet because the denominator is not the same. So we have to find the same denominator. So we're going to have to multiply 2 on the top, and 2 on the numerator, and 2 in the denominator. And so now our fraction will turn into this. It's going to turn into 42 over 4. And then now we can go ahead and subtract both of them. 42 over 4 minus 31 over 4. That's going to give us 11 over 4. And if we need to turn this back into an improper fraction, we can just go ahead and see how many times 4 goes into 11. And so 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. So we can only go 2 full times into 11, so we end up with 2. So we already took out 8 from 11, so we're left with 3 over 4. And that would be our answer. Our next problem, Tom bought a shirt on sale for $12. The original price of the shirt was $15. What was the percentage of the discount on the sale? So we are given that the sale price is equal to 12. The original price was 15. They want to know what was the percentage of the discount. How many percentage off was the original price? That's when you go to the stores and you see 20% off, 30% off, but they don't tell you the price because they know that you see that's not really that big of an amount. So we can just go ahead and subtract 15 minus 12. It's going to give us $3. So it was $3 off. So now we can go ahead and put x over 100 because we don't know the percentage, and then 3 out of 15, and you'll just go ahead and cross multiply. So you end up with 15x equals 300, and divide by 15 on each side, and you end up with x equals 20. So it was 20% off. That would be your answer. Two people are going to work on a job. The first person will be paid $7.25 per hour. The second person will be paid $10.50 per hour. If A represents the number of hours the first person will work and B represents the number of hours the second person will work, what equation represents the total cost of the wages for this job? Well, they gave you a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's figure out what is actually needed. And so it's right given. So we know we're dealing with two people. The first person will be paid $7.25 an hour, so $7.25 per hour. It would be person A. And then the second person will be paid $10.50 an hour. So the second person equals $10.50 per hour. Okay, so A is going to represent the number of hours the first person works, and B represents the number of hours the second person works. And here they want an equation. So when they want an equation, we're going to end up with some variables, meaning some letters, in our final answer. And once we add up everything, it's going to represent the total wages of this job. So we'll let TW equals total wages. So basically we have 7.25 plus 10.50 equals TW. But we're not done yet because we don't know how many hours they're going to work. Person A the first person could work 2 hours. They could work 3 hours the next week. They could work 10 hours that week. So we're just going to go ahead and leave A because that we don't know unless they give it to us. And the second person who gets paid $10.50, we also don't know how much they work. They could work 1 hour. They could work 30 minutes. So we're just going to go ahead and put a B. and then this whole answer would, and then this whole equation would be your answer. And that's about it. 47. The Smith family is having lunch in a diner. They buy hot dogs and hamburgers to eat. The hot dogs cost $2.50 each, and the hamburgers cost $4 each. They buy 3 hamburgers. They also buy hot dogs. The total value of their purchase is $22. Here they want to know how many hot dogs did they buy. So let's write what was given. So here they told us hot dogs cost $2.50. Then they told us the burgers cost $4. And then they said they bought 3 burgers. So 3 burgers. And then they told us that after they bought everything, they spent $22. Let's figure out how much they spent on the burgers first. So each burger is 4. They bought 3. So 4 times 3 gives us $12. So that right there is how much they spent on the burgers. And then so we're going to subtract $22 minus 12, and that's going to give us $10. So they spent $10 on hot dogs. But we are not done yet. You always want to make sure you answer your question. How many hot dogs did they buy? So how many gave us $10? Because each one is worth $2.50. So you can basically just divide 10 by $2.50, and that's going to give you 4. And then this would be your final answer. So you always want to make sure that you answer the right question. I mean, I know there's a lot of steps, but and it can get confusing. So you always want to look back at the question and see, did I answer it correctly?